I like ideas about the breaking away or overthrowing of established order. I'm interested in anything about revolt, disorder, chaos, especially activity that seems to have no meaning.
Most people associate punk with mindless mayhem, but Jim was a true original artist who refused to compromise for anyone for any reason. It was that attitude that made him a punk. Jim Morrison had to be one of the first punks because he was just as shit-faced as the rest of us.
Iggy Pop, who many consider the godfather of punk, loved the Doors, especially Morrison.
Glitter takeover.
In 1971, I was working FM production at Mercury Records, doing stuff for Uriah Heep, Rod Stewart, and the Sir Douglas Quintet. The Man Who Sold the World was out, and so Bowie came over here to promote it. He was unknown. He had very long hair and he was wearing a dress.
Rodney single-handedly cut a path through the trickle of the 1960s, allowing all us avants to parade the sounds of tomorrow, dressed in our clothes of derision.
Everybody had a beard and they gave Rodney and Bowie shit. Bowie showed up in a dress in a Nixon roll that didn't go down very well.
Rodney and I opened our first club in Hollywood in a building that had formerly been a peep show. It was October of '72 and we called it the E-Club. Bowie was one of our first customers.
We did the E-Club for a few months, and then Barry Barnholt said, "Why don't you start your own club?" And that's when we moved it.
We were driving down Sunset Boulevard and we passed this club called the Ooh Poo Pa Doo, which is kind of down on its luck. So on December 15th, Rodney's birthday, we turned into the English disco, and quite early on, all the kids started dressing up and coming in.
Soon celebrities like Led Zeppelin, Sean Cassidy, Keith Moon, and Linda Blair came. We had wild record release parties.
The revelry was nightly. Rodney's was an epicenter. It was the place to see and be seen.
Rodney's was a drunken cuss and fuss place, and the big thing was peacocking and dancing with yourself in front of these stupid fucking mirrors.
The first real LA homegrown glam band were the Berlin Brats.
The Berlin Brats were me and Matt Campbell. We started in like '72 in the bedroom of my mom's house. That's where Rodney discovered us.
Los Angeles was the glam capital of America, so of course the Stooges relocated to LA after they recorded the Raw Power record in London. Everything was great until Main Man, Bowie's management company, dropped them. Then it all went to hell. Everything turned into a bad nightmare.
Iggy's career was still washed up despite the energy and goodwill of the glitter scene in LA. Raw Power looked glam, but it didn't sound glam.
Bowie weathered the gradual glitter rock decline by shrewdly retiring Ziggy in late '73. He escaped with his career intact. The rest of them, the Dolls, the Stooges, were smacked out and stuck in glitter ditch.
We closed in '75 after Chucky E. Star, our DJ, started slipping the disco. I didn't want any part of disco. I hated it. Sometime after Rodney's closed, I remember Helen saying, "We're going to this place, the Sugar Shack in North Hollywood," which is only for underage kids because they didn't serve alcohol.
The Shack started to produce its own little scene, its own little star system. And of course, Kim Fowley and Rodney drifted over to the Sugars because the Shack was where the white teenage thing was happening. We all thought Kim Fowley was kind of weird, kind of an old man, but when you're 15, you don't think too much of stuff like that.
After Rodney's, there were these weird gay discos where all the glitter kids hung out for about a year. There was nowhere else to go.
I was into rock and roll, the New York Dolls, the Stooges, the Stardust album, and Alice Cooper's School's Out. Paul was into oldies, 50s rock and roll. He hated Bowie at first. Paul originally thought Bowie and hard rock were crap. He said it was all screaming and noise. But when I came back to LA after an absence of a year, he was into Bowie big time.
So this Bowie guy was sitting at a table eating tacos. I walked up to him and said, "So I take you're into Bowie?" He told me to fuck off and started cussing at me. I told him to fuck off too. Picked up my tacos and went and sat down at his table. Shortly after, we were taking LSD in his mom's bedroom.
You know what's fun? You take 10 hits of acid and you drink a 6-pack of beer, then you go down to the Santa Monica Pier and jump off, right? It doesn't matter if you live or die or anything, you just swim and you can feel the fish nibbling at your feet.
There are kids where everybody says, "Don't talk to them, they'll brainwash you, they'll turn you into a follower." I just went, wow, I've never even heard of a 17-year-old kid that came up with warnings like that, you know?